Hi and welcome to yet another episode. What we have here is a Panasonic FS-A1WX. As you notice, there's a menu system here. I have no idea what it says because I don't speak or read Japanese. So if anyone can translate that for me, that'd be great. What I can tell from the icons though, it's to do with word processing. I know 100% it's to do with word processing, and I'll explain that in a moment. But it's obviously got names and addresses for your envelopes, it's got printer profiles maybe, and then your date and calendar and things like that, the standard things that you'd want from a word processor. Why it's gone option 9 to basic, I'm not too sure, since the switch right here changes across to basic, there's definitely times you'd want to be able to go straight to it, so I'm not too sure why they have that. Now, to point out to you why I know it's to do with word processing, is because it says word processor directly on the machine there. It is an MSX2 Plus machine, which is a slight upgrade from the MSX I showed you last time. Down here it says MSX Music, so it's obviously wanted to show off its audio. That's what you can hear right now playing in the background, that's coming directly from the computer. It's obviously got a QWERTY layout, which makes it very nice for me because it means I can type. This computer can actually be accelerated from the standard speed of the Z80 chip, which is about 3.5 megahertz. It can go up to around 7, I believe it is. It's something close to that. There's a command that you type in. There's no point me doing it for you right now because I don't know anything that would actually show off the greater speed of it, but the point is this machine does that. I know on other machines you can put mods in and force it to do that as well, but this did it through software, which is quite an interesting thing to be doing. Now, what I also want to show you though is the Carnivore2. I want to show you how to update the menu system, because it turned out the menu that I actually had and was showing you in MSX last time, it wasn't possible to use the joystick in the menu system, which I think is a bit of a shame, since it's obviously pushed as being get all your games and load them from a ROM. So we'll stick the cartridge in, flick the switch on the front here so it goes directly into basic. As it's turning on and I'm loading in the menu system, I want to explain some other things that's on here. So let's get in the menu system. I'll press now to let you see what version of the menu system that you have. It says in the bottom left hand corner there, version 2.06. That is the latest version. I'm just going to show you the process about doing it, that you do get that same version as well, and I recommend that you do get it because it does allow you to use the joystick. Why it wasn't sent with version 2.05, which was out before I bought this cartridge, I don't know. It'd be nice if the sellers actually bothered to update the menu to the latest and greatest version as it's going out the door. I'm assuming they've got something with the flashing system that they use, that as long as they updated that, that's it. All the cartridges that are going out the door get updated to that, because they have to make them pretty much batches at a time. So at least with the batch at a time, have the latest and greatest stuff already on there instead of expecting your customers to upgrade, because the one thing that they boast about is that it's got the latest firmware on there, and if you want to upgrade the firmware, they recommend that you send it back to them, which I can understand, because there's other thing to update the firmware. You actually have to take the cartridge to bits and use a flashing gadget and everything like that to make sure it's done. But what they say is that if you do that, you wreck the warranty on it. So at the very least, what they could do is stick it out with the latest and greatest menu system, which is done through software, granted, but even so, come on. It's not as if it's a cheap object, this. Now, what I want to do though is show you how to do it, in case you have got one with an older menu system on it, or since doing this video, there's a newer version of the menu system. So what we'll do, we'll go directly into the command prompt. I'm going to fully assume you've got all your compact flash cards set up the way it's supposed to be so you can get this far. There's more than enough information on the internet on how to do that. There doesn't seem to be any information about updating the menu system. And the reason why I want to be able to use the menu system was for the joystick, as I say. So the command in question is C2 man. Now I recommend that the Carnivore commands are actually in a folder of their own, or a directory, depending what you want to call it. The point is though is that they're in a folder of their own, and then in your auto exec bat you point towards that folder, so that no matter what folder you're in at a later time, you can still call that command as long as you remember the name of the command. Now in this case what I want to do is load up C2man, because this seems to be the main command to be using with the Carnivore2 for setting it up at least. The cartridge is in slot 1 now, so I have to type in 10. I'm not too sure why it's 10 and not just 1. If someone can explain to me why that is, that'd be nice to know as well, just out of intrigue. But there's no real information on the cartridge on the Carnivore2 website which tells you why it's slot number 10. And because it doesn't find it instantly, it says that it finds the Carnivore2 cartridge in slot and then doesn't know where it is. I suppose while I'm typing this now, it might well be that it's to do with other bits and pieces that are in the Carnivore2. That's what's there. In fact, that's probably what it is. Sorry, I only just realised that while I'm chuntering on. But what I want to do though is update the menu. So what we have to do is to open the cartridge of service menu. So press 9. And as you know from here that there isn't a command that says update menu, because it's not called menu, it's called boot block. And the boot block is a file that you need from the GitHub Carnivore2 website, which is boot.cmfc.bin. It's option number 4 there, you can see. Right boot block boot.cmfc.bin. So make sure you've got that file. It comes in different colors. You'll understand when you go to the GitHub website. So if you want it to be a blue background, you want it to be some other color, pick the color that you want and then stick that on the root of the compact flash card. Press 4. Yes, you want to do it. Definitely want to do it. Press any key to continue, and then press 0 to go to main menu, and then press 4 to reboot or restart the computer. So as we go along, it will come back into the menu system, and we press H, and as we can see, we're still at version 2.06, which is all great because that's what I want it to be anyway. For what other versions that might be out later, obviously it might be a later number, but the point is this menu system seems to be working perfectly fine on this computer. So that's the one I'm staying at for now. Now there's a second page, unlike what there was on the version of the menu that I had before, or the boot block is the correct name. There was no mention about using a joystick, though when you go read the information on the GitHub website, it mentions you can use a joystick. So again, I think it's a bit annoying that the sellers don't actually stick on the latest version of the firmware. It'd be good for their customers in the long run. And as I say, it's not a cheap object, so come on, pull your finger out. Now, let's go back into it again so we can add a game to the system. It's quite a long boot process, can get a little bit boring doing this, so what I recommend is you add more than one game at a time. I'm only going to do one right now, but for when you're doing it, I'd recommend that you do it more than one game at a time, because it saves the boredom really. So let's have a look at what we've got here, because what I want to show you to do is mess around with the menu system just before we add another game. So say that we've got a game and we don't like what it's called, or we've used the file name and it's come up quite ugly because it just says F1 Spirit there, but let's make it say F1 Spirit in lowercase. So we press E and we can select rename directory by pressing enter. So we want to call it capital F1, capital S, Spirit, and we press enter to confirm. And then we press the arrow keys so that we go down to save and exit. Yes, we do want to save. Yes, we do want to delete the original entry. And now you can see that it's now called F1 Spirit. We could have said no and it was stayed where it was, and it would have just renamed it. So it's up to you if you want to shift it around by doing that. I just did it that way just now, just to prove a point, because now we have the files that are 0, 1, 2, 5, 6. Now let's make that look a little bit prettier. So in fact what let's do is that we don't want this blaggery game either, so we press D. Yes, we do want to delete it. So that game's gone now. So now we've got 0, 1, 5, 6, which is quite ugly. So we can press escape, then we press 9, and then we press 2 to optimize what's there. And then we press 0, and then we can go back to pressing 3 again, and then we can see we've got 0, 1, 2, 3, so that makes it look nicer. Now what we can also do is add a game to the system, which is what we all want to know really, isn't it? So we press 1, don't know the name of the file. You could, if you wanted to, type C2 man and name of the file and it would automatically drag it in, but right now I don't know the names of the files that I want. So if I press enter to select a file, and then if I press tab, it will change in between the two. Now these two here are not actually games, so I will press escape and I will 0 out of it, and I will go into my games folder, which is type CD, which is to change directory, press ROMs, type in ROMs. In my case you could have your games somewhere else. I type in C2 man again. Because I've already rebooted and been in this Carnivore2, it does actually know it should be looking at 10, but I'll type in 10 anyway, just so out of habit I'm always typing 10. I press 1 to pick up the games, and now if I press enter and I press tab, as you can see there's lots of different games that I have in this folder. So let's load this Goonies game. And in this case I'll just leave it as Goonies as the capital letters. Yes, I want to press to do it. I press 0, or I can press 4 to restart, so I might as well press 4. And here we have control over the menu system, which I didn't have when I first got this. So that's a lot nicer way of doing it. I press fire and it will start the game, which is definitely a nice way of doing it. And this is a different Goonies game to the Goonies game that I showed you last time. Oh, he doesn't look nice. So here we go, this is a different Goonies game. Oh, I have a key now. Oh, crash helmet. I'm assuming I can get out of this door now. Oh. And there we are. Well, I'm dying as always when I'm trying to play games. But the point is, there we are. That's how you add one in. And as I say, I recommend that you do more than one game at a time, just to save some time really. If you want to, what I recommend though, if you want to keep things kind of neat, is add a load of games that start with A, and then see what you like. But you don't have to worry too much about the way that I'm pointing at the screen, as if you can see where I'm pointing. You don't need it to be that it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, but at the same time, I'm assuming there's only so many slots, so you might as well optimize that when it starts getting really ugly, so that you can go on. You can have more than one page as well on the menu system. It's not just stuck where it is at the moment. You just then you can use left and right on the joystick to be able to go from screen to screen. I hope that's some interesting information to be using this Carnivore2. I'm really enjoying having that on my MSX computers, especially this one. It brings a lot to it. So So what I want to do now though is sign off really on it. So as always, please tell your friends and family. I hope you have learnt something interesting on doing that. The next machine that I want to show you, I'm going to keep as a bit of a surprise. So until then, live long and happy.